Do you remember a time when people would say, oh, but Roger didn't do very well in insert any tournament before a major, maybe there could be trouble at this major? During the stretches of dominance from Roger Federer, we did hear talk like this, but he would always prove that it was most important to him to schedule, plan, peak for the biggest tournaments, the 4 majors and Tennis Masters Cup ATP World Tour Finals at the end of the year. Welcome to 20 Slams of Christmas. Let's talk Roger's first U.S. Open.
It's just overpowering.
Oh, yeah. Federer's swinging like he's already won.
16-0 since the end of last year against top 10 players.
After winning Wimbledon, Roger Federer goes to Gstaad. It's a clay court tournament, but it's in die Schweiz. For those of you who aren't multilingual world travelers, that means Switzerland. Federer winning right after Wimbledon in Gstaad 2004 will be Roger's first title ever in Switzerland, in his home country. But he had been there in 2003, did not win it, had just won his first major at Wimbledon 2003. And to honor the Swiss maestro, the folks at Gstaad gifted Roger Federer this great big cow. I guess I'll have to find a cow garage. But I don't know what the cow garage even looks like, joked Roger. The cow would go on to have a baby, which Roger would name Edelweiss. For those of you bovine lovers, there will be another cow in Roger's life that we'll talk about later in the future 20 Slams of Christmas. Federer will then go to Canada Masters Tournament 1000. Well, not 1000 then, but 1000 now. We've talked about how the rankings point system has changed a little since back then. This was the site where Roger had a chance to be number 1 in the world in 2003 if he could have beat Andy Roddick in the semifinals, but he lost to Andy Roddick in the semifinals, one of his 3 losses in his whole career. But this year, as Roger is accustomed to doing so frequently, he will get revenge, beating Roddick in the final this time, now that they are the 1 and 2 seeds in the world, which just puts even more distance in the rankings between Roger atop on 1 and Roddick and whoever else out there trailing behind. But then it's Cincinnati, and this is an Olympic year, by the way. In Cincinnati, a little bit of a shock. Roger is upset in the first round, ending a current winning streak he had at the number I've always said would be his final major count, 23, the number of Michael Jordan. Talk about a GOAT number. If you were going to end a big streak like that, I'd prefer to end it at 23. Roger goes to Athens, Greece for the Olympics, and another shocking loss to Tomas Birdman Berdych.
Oh, splendide retour. Et la déception est immense pour Roger Federer, qui s'incline 4-6, 7-5, 7-5. Il a joué vraiment le 74e mondial. Le voici, ce Tchèque, Tomas Berdych, en 2h19.
The bird was soaring high. He was a teenager at the time. This was a big moment for Tomas Berdych and put him on the stage. This is where we will hear talk going into the U.S. Open. Roger just had a couple uncharacteristic losses. Will it affect his chances at the U.S. Open? No, it will not. Let's start at the bottom U.S. Open draw. Andy Roddick, the 2 seed, defending champion. He won the U.S. Open, his only major, but in his mind at this time, maybe he can defend and win a second major. First up, he plays Scoville Jenkins, who, interestingly enough, was the assistant tennis coach at my college. I remember seeing that guy around campus and beating up on the D1 players that he was so much better than. Then Roddick will play Rafa Nadal. He'll get through in straight sets, but maybe Nadal could have challenged more. We saw Nadal beat Federer in Miami on a hard court. Maybe he could have challenged Roddick a little better if he hadn't gone 5 sets in the first round with Dr. Ivo. No, not Ivo Karlovic, but Swiss tennis player Ivo Heuberger. In the third round, Roddick will get Guillermo Cañas. Vamos Willy! That was his nickname. Guillermo Cañas will be pretty important. What year is it? Is it 2006, 7? It's coming up. Cañas will stun Roger with 2 upsets in about 2 weeks' time. Back-to-back wins over Roger Federer in the same month, I believe. Anyways, we'll talk about that when that happens in the future. Andy Roddick does not drop a set en route to the quarterfinals. Take a look at this part of the draw. Andre Agassi who will prove to be probably the most worthy challenger to Federer at this tournament, although we never get to see him play Roddick. This stuff is all connected because, interestingly enough, Roger almost threw in straight sets, doesn't have to play his fourth round, but two people in his first 4 rounds that will come up again in 2006 when Agassi plays his last ever U.S. Open. The guy gives Roger the walkover in the 4th round. Andre Pavel will be Andre Agassi's first round opponent in 2006 U.S. Open, giving a pretty good match, a night match. And Roger, in 4 sets, his 1 set he drops en route to the quarters. Big Baghdadi, Marcos Baghdatis, who of course will be somebody for Roger to play in a major final pretty soon coming up, but will also be the guy who gives us one of the best matches in U.S. Open history, a second round match against Andre Agassi in 2006, comes darn close to winning it. In the quarterfinals, Andy Roddick is upset by Pim Johansson. Pim. Leighton Hewitt will take out my former favorite player before I discovered Roger Federer. The first person I was drawn to, Tommy Haas, who is a little Federer-like himself. But take a look at highlights from the quarterfinal between Federer and Agassi. This will be one of the best matches of the U.S. Open, definitely a lot better than the actual final.
He's so quick to take advantage of Federer running around that forehand. This is too good. Adjustment tough. And Federer. And you see what this win means to him.
Straight sets for both of our finalists in the semifinals, and Roger Federer gives a historic beatdown, we'll look at highlights in a moment, to Leighton Hewitt. 2 bagels in the final, but let me tell you, first time someone has 2 bagels in the final of the U.S. Open since '84. And no, not John McEnroe, 1984. Great year, but even Mac in '84 didn't lay 2 bagels on the U.S. Open finalists. No, we have to go back. Like I said, this is truly a historic beatdown. We must go back to 1884. Anyways, take a look at the finals highlights.
Today, only 2 men remain, and one of them is Roger Federer of Switzerland. He's the top-ranked player in the world, now 1 win away from hoisting his 3rd Grand Slam trophy of the year. Leighton Hewitt has won the United States Open. And now he's back, the feisty Aussie, riding a 16-match winning streak. Hasn't lost a single set here. So it's down to the final 2, Federer and Hewitt.
Along this remarkable win streak of his.
That's a nice way to start the match.
Wow.
And double fault gives Federer a quick early lead. Nice going.
Yeah, you're all caught up.
He's brilliant.
For Love Federer.
That's on the line.
Oh my, what a display. The world's number. Game for 6. Oh, that's just talk about domination of a top opponent. 40-15. Game.
He's done it, and look what it means to Roger Federer.
So the big takeaway here, Roger has fully cemented himself on top. He's now holding 3 majors. He now has 4 majors in just a little over a year's time. And the other top players, he's just managed to beat them all over the world throughout this year. Thank you for watching. We will see you very soon. Make sure you click here to get caught up on the latest tennis news, and be on the lookout tomorrow for another edition of 20 Slams of Christmas. See ya!